Welcome. If you're a senior, or love someone who is, you've probably heard all the gentle advice about decluttering. Take your time, keep only what brings joy, it's just stuff. But let's be honest, decluttering in your later years isn't just about making space, it's about facing reality. It's about memories, mortality, and what you leave behind. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on 5 harsh truths about decluttering for seniors that no one talks about, but everyone needs to hear. This isn't a sugar-coated list of tips, it's the real, sometimes uncomfortable truth. And by the end, you'll have not just clarity, but power. Decluttering forces you to confront your mortality. There's an uncomfortable truth at the core of every decluttering journey in later life, and it's this: sorting through your possessions is really about sorting through your life. Each photo, each keepsake, each box in the attic becomes a portal to a memory, a decision, a moment in time that reminds you how far you've come and how far you might have left. For seniors, this process is rarely just about organizing a closet or donating some clothes. It's a confrontation with the reality that time is finite, and that letting go of objects often feels like letting go of a piece of who you are. The process isn't just physical, it's deeply emotional, even existential. Studies from the National Institute on Aging confirm that older adults often associate possessions with identity and legacy, making decluttering psychologically taxing. You're not just tossing an old sweater, you're parting ways with a chapter of your story. This emotional weight can lead to avoidance. Many seniors delay decluttering because they subconsciously associate it with preparing for death. A 2021 study published in The Gerontologist found that older adults frequently view downsizing as a preparation for departure, and as a result, many resist it until a health event or family pressure forces their hand. This delay can have unintended consequences. When decluttering is postponed until crisis strikes, the task becomes overwhelming, and your ability to make intentional decisions may be compromised. Worse, it may fall to others to make those decisions for you, without context, without your voice, and without the understanding of what truly mattered to you. That's why confronting this harsh truth early can actually be an act of empowerment, not defeat. Rather than thinking of decluttering as a morbid task, think of it as a conscious, courageous one. It's a way of curating your story with intention, choosing what stays, what goes, and what represents the essence of your life. Swedish researchers refer to this practice as death cleaning, or dostadning, which, despite its name, isn't about dying, it's about living with purpose. When you take ownership of your space and your story, you relieve your loved ones of the emotional burden of guessing your wishes later. You reclaim your agency. And perhaps more importantly, you give yourself the gift of peace, knowing that everything around you is exactly what you've chosen to carry forward. But getting there requires honesty. Honesty about what your possessions represent. Honesty about what you fear. And honesty about what you truly want to leave behind, not just in boxes, but in memory. Start by recognizing what emotions certain items trigger. Is it guilt? Sentiment? Fear? Regret? These emotional cues are road signs. They show you what needs healing. They point to unresolved parts of your story that may need closure. And addressing them doesn't mean erasing your past. It means honoring it without letting it hold you hostage. This process also means coming to terms with the fact that you are not your things. Your legacy is not the china set no one uses, or the VHS tapes no one can play. Your legacy is your resilience, your wisdom, your presence. And the clearer your space becomes, the more those qualities can shine. When you create a home that reflects your current needs instead of past clutter, you make space for joy, safety, and clarity. That's a form of health too, mental, emotional, and even physical. Multiple studies, including a 2022 report in Frontiers in Psychology, show a direct link between clutter and elevated cortisol levels in older adults. In other words, that crowded garage may be stressing you out more than you realize. It's normal to feel resistance. But remember, avoiding the task doesn't stop the clock. Embracing it, however, can help you live the time you have left with more freedom, more dignity, and more lightness. Think of decluttering not as closing a door, but as opening a window. The breeze that enters might carry a bit of melancholy, yes, but it will also carry clarity, relief, and the strength to face tomorrow with less weight on your shoulders. So yes, Decluttering in your senior years does force you to confront your mortality, but in doing so, it can also reaffirm your vitality. And that's something no one tells you, but everyone deserves to know. Your family doesn't want most of your stuff, and that's okay. There's a common myth that many seniors hold on to, often unknowingly, and it's this: that one day, your children or grandchildren will want the china cabinet, the old furniture, the collection of figurines, or the stacks of photo albums you've guarded for decades. But here's the difficult truth: most of your family doesn't want your stuff, not because they don't love you, but because their lives are different. The way younger generations live has changed. Today's homes are smaller, lives are faster, and priorities have shifted. According to a 2023 report from AARP, over 75% of millennials and Gen Z adults say they feel overwhelmed by the thought of inheriting their parents' or grandparents' possessions. For them, it's not a treasure trove, it's a burden. And while that may sting to hear, it's actually a liberating realization if you allow it to be. Holding on to items because we believe we're preserving history for the next generation is a deeply emotional act. It's a sign of love, legacy, and continuity. But when the recipients of that legacy aren't aligned with those values, the result is often disappointment and even conflict. Many seniors experience shock when their children politely, or not so politely, decline heirlooms they thought would be cherished. Whether it's the antique clock, the family silverware, or that meticulously organized stamp collection, the rejection can feel like a rejection of your life's meaning. But it's not. It's simply a reflection of a world that's changed, one where minimalism, digital storage, and flexible living dominate. Your family's declination is not a dismissal of you. It's a response to the reality they live in. Understanding this can transform your approach to decluttering. Instead of assuming everything will be wanted, begin asking questions. Open conversations. Invite your family to walk through your home with you and identify the pieces that truly hold meaning for them. You might be surprised, while the full dining set might go unclaimed, a small handwritten note, a well-worn recipe book, or a childhood ornament might be the real treasures. Emotional value often lives in the small, unexpected things, not the big, cumbersome ones. This shift allows you to be a participant in your legacy rather than a silent architect. It also ensures that the items you give have context, stories, and significance, not just weight. There's also a freedom in releasing the pressure to preserve everything. Acknowledging that your belongings may not be wanted doesn't mean they weren't valuable. It means their value existed in the time they served you. That beautiful armoire was once the pride of your living room. It held decades of memories, and it did its job. Now, its job is done. You don't owe your objects eternal life. Letting go isn't betrayal, it's evolution. It's making space not just for emptiness, but for clarity, mobility, and peace. In fact, research from the University of Southern California found that seniors who declutter with autonomy and self-awareness report higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional well-being than those who feel pressured or who cling to false expectations. Decluttering under the assumption that your children will one day want it all places a silent burden on both you and them. It creates a ticking clock where someday, someone will have to make hard decisions you could have made more easily and with more meaning. Worse, it can create resentment or guilt, two emotions no family should have to carry through a loss. By accepting the truth now, you give your loved ones a gift greater than any object, the gift of clarity, of shared memory, and of freedom from guilt. You also give yourself peace. Because once you let go of the expectation that everything must be preserved, you start asking more important questions. What do I want to keep? What still serves me? This opens the door to intentional living. Instead of managing your home like a museum for others, you begin curating a space that reflects your current joys. Maybe it's fewer objects but better experiences. Maybe it's transforming a cluttered spare room into a space for hobbies, meditation, or rest. Maybe it's just the calm of a hallway not lined with old boxes. And if there are things you truly want your family to have, make it personal. Write a note, share the story behind it. Pass it on while you're still here to witness its meaning take root. That's legacy, not just inheritance, but connection. And remember, your worth isn't in your belongings. It's in the wisdom you've lived, the love you've given, and the stories you share. If your family doesn't want the stuff, that doesn't mean they don't want you. On the contrary, They want you present, well, and at peace. So let go of the myth. Let go of the pressure. And instead, embrace the beautiful truth that your greatest legacy can't be boxed up. It can only be lived and passed on, heart to heart. I might need it someday is a trap that steals your space and peace. It starts with a tiny thought: what if I need this later? That broken lamp, the extra crockpot, the drawer full of mismatched cables, the piles of outdated paperwork, they all linger because of that single, persuasive idea. For many seniors, I might need it someday becomes the ultimate justification for keeping things that no longer serve a real purpose. And on the surface, it seems reasonable. After all, you've lived long enough to know that life is unpredictable. Maybe you will need that particular screwdriver or extra set of dishes. But here's the problem: this mindset doesn't just preserve objects, it multiplies clutter and anxiety. Over time, it transforms your home from a place of rest into a warehouse of just in case. What began as practicality turns into paralysis. Psychologists refer to this behavior as part of the scarcity mindset, often rooted in experiences of financial insecurity, wartime rationing, or growing up with little. Many seniors, especially those from frugal or resource-scarce upbringings, develop a deeply ingrained belief that letting go is wasteful or irresponsible. You were taught to repair, repurpose, and never throw away something that could have value. And in the right context, those values are admirable. But when that principle leads to closets bursting with clothing you haven't worn in years or pantries stacked with expired canned goods, the cost is no longer financial, it's mental and physical. You're not saving resources. You're sacrificing space and clarity for a future that may never come. What's even more deceptive about the someday trap is how it uses fear disguised as foresight. What if my microwave breaks? What if I lose weight and fit into these pants again? What if my grandchild wants this old stereo? These questions are rarely answered with certainty, yet they hold enough power to delay decisions indefinitely. But the truth is, most of these what-ifs never materialize. A study from the University of Kansas found that 80% of items kept for future use by older adults were never actually used again. Meanwhile, those same items took up valuable space, caused stress during cleaning or moving, and contributed to a general sense of overwhelm in the home. It's also important to understand the emotional manipulation behind "I might need it someday." That phrase isn't neutral, it's loaded with guilt, anxiety, and fear of being unprepared. But preparedness doesn't mean clinging to everything. It means curating what you actually use, trust, and need. A home filled with just in case becomes a place where the present is buried under the weight of the hypothetical. And in doing so, it robs you of peace. There's a deep calm that comes from knowing everything in your home has a purpose. It's not about minimalism for its own sake, it's about creating a space where you can breathe, move, and age with dignity. The irony is, most of the items you think you'll need again are easily and cheaply replaceable, if needed at all. Old cords and electronics become obsolete. Clothing goes out of style or no longer fits comfortably. Duplicate appliances and furniture only collect dust. And in the rare case that you do need something again, chances are you could borrow it, buy a new version, or find an alternative solution. The space you gain from releasing those items almost always outweighs the rare inconvenience of needing something and not having it. Plus, when your home is lighter and more manageable, it becomes easier to find the things you do use. You spend less time hunting and more time living. Letting go of someday items also empowers you to live more intentionally in the now. Instead of stockpiling for possible futures, you begin shaping a life that serves your current habits and health. You might discover, for instance, that you only wear a handful of your clothes regularly, or that your kitchen functions better with fewer gadgets. You might finally clear out that garage and turn it into a quiet reading nook or an exercise space. These changes, while seemingly small, ripple into bigger transformations. They affect how you move through your day, how you feel in your own home, and how much energy you have to focus on what matters. If you struggle with the idea of letting go, try reframing the question. Instead of asking, "Might I need this?" ask, "Does this serve me now?" Or "Have I used this in the last year?" If the answer is no, then you're storing potential stress, not potential solutions. You can also try the quarantine box method. Place items you're unsure about in a sealed box with a date written on it. If you don't open that box in 6 months or a year, you probably didn't need what's inside. This method gives you a grace period without indefinite clutter. Ultimately, the fear of needing it someday is about control. Aging comes with uncertainties, and hanging on to stuff can feel like a way to manage those unknowns. But true control comes from clarity, not clutter. When you let go of what doesn't serve you, you gain power, not just over your home, but over your peace of mind. So the next time you hesitate in front of that overstuffed drawer or closet, remember, you're not giving up something useful. You're reclaiming space, energy, and freedom from the trap of someday. Memories aren't in the objects, they're in you. One of the most emotionally difficult parts of decluttering in our later years is the belief that the things we own are our memories. That old rocking chair you used to hold your babies in. The faded postcards from long past trips. The chipped teacup from your grandmother's cabinet. These items feel sacred, not because of their monetary value, but because of the life they witnessed. The moment you consider letting one go, it feels as though you're erasing a memory, dishonouring a person, or discarding a part of your soul. But here's the deeper, liberating truth. Your memories are not stored in your possessions. They are stored in you. In your heart, in your mind, in the way you share stories with others. Your identity and history are not tied to any one object, but rather to the experiences that shaped you and the relationships that defined you. It's human nature to anchor our memories to physical items. We touch a wedding dress and instantly recall our vows. We hold a child's drawing and feel their tiny hands again. These objects trigger memories, yes, but they are not the memory itself. And when our homes begin to fill with hundreds or even thousands of these triggers, something strange happens. The emotional significance starts to dilute. Instead of feeling joy or nostalgia, we start to feel overwhelmed. There's guilt for even thinking about letting go. There's sadness in confronting how much time has passed. And eventually, the sheer volume of stuff becomes so paralyzing that it prevents us from actually enjoying the memories we hoped to preserve. This is where a shift in perspective becomes vital. Think of your most precious memories. Chances are, they aren't tied to an object but to a person, a feeling, a moment. You didn't fall in love with a piece of furniture. You fell in love under the stars, in a song, in someone's eyes. You don't miss the book itself. You miss the way your child curled up beside you when you read it. These memories are safe within you. They're portable. You carry them whether you keep the object or not. And the moment you understand this, you gain the ability to let go without losing anything that really matters. Of course, there's nothing wrong with keeping a few meaningful items. A memory box. A small shelf of treasures. But the key is intentionality. When everything is deemed too precious to lose, then nothing really stands out. Memory clutter becomes emotional noise. It clouds your space and your mind. Instead, imagine choosing just a handful of items that truly encapsulate your life story. You may find that the fewer items you keep, the more power each one holds. A single photograph displayed on a clean shelf can evoke more reverence than an entire box of them stashed in the back of a closet. There are also ways to preserve memories without holding on to physical items. Take photographs of the things you're parting with. Record yourself telling the story behind them. Create a digital archive to pass on to your children. These methods allow you to honor the memory without preserving the clutter. And more importantly, they offer an opportunity to share those stories while you're still here to tell them. Because what your family will cherish most isn't the object itself, it's the story, the meaning, the voice behind it. A grandchild might not want your sewing machine, but they'll treasure the video of you explaining how it helped you start your first business. That's a living legacy. It's also crucial to recognize that some items may carry pain. Letters from someone who hurt you. Keepsakes from a difficult chapter. These, too, can trap memories, not the joyful ones, but the unresolved ones. Holding on to them doesn't heal. In fact, it can quietly harm. By releasing these items, you're not erasing the past. You're acknowledging it, processing it, and choosing to prioritize your peace. Healing is a form of remembering too. It's remembering your strength, your growth, and your right to move forward without carrying every piece of the past with you. The fear that I'll forget if I let go is powerful. But memory doesn't work like that. We forget things all the time, even when surrounded by reminders. And we remember things at the oddest moments, a scent in the air, a line in a song, a quiet Sunday morning. Trust that what's meant to stay with you will. Your mind is more resilient than you think. And often, when you remove the clutter, your most vivid memories have more room to resurface. Letting go of memory-laden items doesn't mean your life is being erased. It means your life is being curated, edited, refined into its most meaningful essence. And just as a photo album has to leave some shots on the cutting room floor to make space for the best ones, so too must you decide what physical pieces are worth keeping. This is not a loss, it's an act of love. Love for yourself, for your story, and for those who will inherit not your things, but your wisdom. In the end, it's not the faded blanket that holds the warmth of your family. It's the laughter at the table, the holidays you gathered, the care you gave. It's not the worn-out suitcase that holds your travels. It's the courage, the curiosity, the moments of awe. These things are yours forever. Let your home reflect the beauty of the life you've lived, not the burden of trying to prove it through clutter. Because memories aren't in the objects, they're in you. And you, as you are right now, are enough. Clutter can secretly endanger your health more than you think. For many seniors, clutter is seen as a minor inconvenience, an untidy corner, a stack of papers, maybe a few too many boxes in the garage. But what most don't realize is that clutter isn't just about aesthetics or organization. It can quietly and powerfully impact your health in ways that are often overlooked. And not just your mental well-being, but your physical safety, your cognitive clarity, and even your ability to age in place. A home filled with excess items can quickly become a maze of hidden hazards, each one increasing the risk of accidents, illness, and stress. While the clutter may feel like comfort, each item representing memories, intentions, or deferred decisions, it can also act as an invisible weight on your body and mind. One of the most pressing concerns is the risk of falls. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, falls are the leading cause of injury-related death among adults over 65. Many of these falls happen at home, and clutter is often a key contributor. Piles of books, throw rugs, loose cords, or just too much furniture in narrow spaces can make navigation difficult, especially for those with reduced mobility or impaired vision. What might seem like a harmless stack in the hallway today could be a dangerous obstacle tomorrow. And the more crowded a space becomes, the harder it is to move through it safely, especially if a walker, cane, or emergency personnel ever needs to get through. But the danger goes beyond trips and falls. Cluttered spaces are also harder to clean, leading to dust accumulation, mold growth, and poor air quality. For seniors with respiratory conditions like asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, this can create a serious health threat. A 2020 study in the Journal of Environmental Health linked cluttered environments with increased airborne irritants and microbial growth, especially in homes where items were stacked or stored in poorly ventilated areas like basements or closets. That stack of newspapers might not seem like a problem until it becomes a breeding ground for dust mites or mildew. In time, these hidden issues can aggravate allergies, cause breathing problems, and compromise the immune system. Clutter also has a measurable impact on mental health. Studies from Princeton University and UCLA Center on Everyday Lives of Families have shown that cluttered environments can increase levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Seniors living in disorganized homes often report higher levels of anxiety, fatigue, and depression. The visual chaos signals to the brain that tasks are unfinished, and this sense of disorder can make it difficult to relax or focus. Even small daily decisions, like choosing an outfit or finding your medication, become more stressful when you're surrounded by piles of stuff. Over time, this chronic stress can chip away at your emotional resilience, leaving you feeling drained, irritable, or even hopeless. For those with early-stage dementia or cognitive decline, clutter can be particularly damaging. It impairs orientation, limits recognition of important objects, and increases confusion. When there are too many visual stimuli, the brain struggles to prioritize what matters, leading to frustration and cognitive fatigue. A study published in the Journal of Aging and Health found that seniors with mild cognitive impairment performed significantly worse on daily tasks in cluttered environments compared to clean ones. In extreme cases, clutter can mimic or worsen symptoms of dementia, leading to a misdiagnosis or unnecessary medication. Then there's the issue of medication safety. In a cluttered home, it's easier to misplace or accidentally double-dose prescriptions. Important documents can get lost in piles, leading to missed appointments, unpaid bills, or confusion about insurance and healthcare directives. Emergency preparedness also becomes compromised. In the event of a fire, flood, or medical crisis, a cluttered space can hinder rescue efforts or delay evacuation. First responders need clear paths. Emergency exits must be accessible. The consequences of not decluttering can escalate quickly in such moments, and yet they're rarely considered until it's too late. What's most tragic is that many of these dangers are preventable. By identifying clutter as more than a nuisance, by recognizing it as a health hazard, you empower yourself to take action not out of shame, but out of self-care. It's not about becoming a minimalist or stripping your home bare. It's about creating a safe, functional environment where you can thrive, not just survive. Where you can move freely, breathe deeply, and think clearly. And where you can feel proud of your space, knowing it supports your health instead of compromising it. Start by focusing on high-risk areas: stairs, hallways, bathrooms, and kitchens. Remove anything that could cause a trip or block your way in an emergency. Check for expired food or medication. Clear off surfaces so that essential items are easy to find and use. Consider asking a family member or professional to help assess your home from a safety standpoint. Sometimes, a fresh set of eyes can spot dangers we've become blind to over time. And remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's prevention. Each item you remove, each space you open, is a step toward greater security and peace. It's also worth acknowledging that clutter can become a coping mechanism for deeper emotional wounds: grief, loneliness, fear of the future. Holding onto objects can feel like holding onto control, especially in a world that keeps changing. But letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing health, choosing clarity, and choosing to live with greater intention. Your home should be a place of healing, not hazard. A place that supports your aging process with grace, not danger. You deserve that, and more. The decision to declutter, especially later in life, isn't just about cleanliness. It's about survival, dignity, and the possibility of a safer tomorrow. Letting go creates room for the life you still have left to live. Expansion begins below. One of the most powerful yet least acknowledged truths about decluttering in your later years is that it's not about endings, it's about beginnings. So much of the conversation around downsizing and letting go is framed in loss: losing space, losing memories, preparing for the end. But what if we flipped that idea entirely? What if letting go isn't a closing chapter, but the start of a new one? For seniors, the act of decluttering can be a radical expression of hope. It's a chance to make room, not just in your home, but in your mind and spirit, for the life you still have ahead of you. Because aging doesn't mean stopping. It means shifting. And in that shift, there is enormous potential for renewal, growth, and joy. Clutter traps us in the past. Every shelf full of unused items, every drawer jammed with forgotten things, keeps a part of our attention stuck on what was. And while nostalgia can be beautiful, too much of it can weigh you down. Letting go clears the path forward. It gives you back control over how you live now, not how you used to. Whether it's opening up space for new hobbies, creating room for movement and safety, or simply reducing stress, decluttering opens doors, sometimes literally. You stop having to sidestep piles and start walking freely. You stop searching and start finding. And that clarity begins to ripple outward into every corner of your life. Psychologically, this shift is profound. Studies from the International Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry show that seniors who actively choose to simplify their living environment report improved mood, increased confidence, and even enhanced cognitive function. Why? Because making decisions about what to keep and what to release reinforces a sense of agency, a belief that your choices still matter, that your life is still being actively shaped by you. This sense of empowerment is one of the most underrated aspects of aging well. When you recognize that you're not just at the mercy of time or circumstances, but that you can still edit, refine, and improve your surroundings, something in your spirit wakes up. Letting go can also reconnect you with your values. As you sift through what you own, you begin to notice patterns. What truly matters to you, what you've outgrown, what deserves space in your life, and what doesn't. This process can be deeply clarifying. Maybe you realize you've held onto a life that no longer reflects who you are now. Maybe you discover that you want more time in nature, or that a clutter-free home brings a sense of calm you didn't know you needed. Decluttering isn't just about space, it's about alignment. Making your outer world reflect your inner priorities. That kind of alignment has been linked to lower blood pressure, better sleep, and even longer life expectancy, according to a 2022 study by the National Institute on Aging. Letting go also creates emotional room for new connections. A cluttered home can unintentionally become a barrier to socializing. When your space feels too full, you may stop inviting friends over, avoid having family stay the night, or feel embarrassed when others visit. Clearing space reopens those doors. It invites community, conversation, and laughter back into your life. It tells your loved ones, "I'm still here, and there's still room for you." More than that, it tells yourself that you're worthy of a vibrant, welcoming environment, not just one that stores the past. There's a common misconception that aging is all about shrinking bodies, shrinking roles, shrinking social circles. But the truth is, your later years can be expansive. They can be full of discovery, creativity, and meaning if you choose to make room for them. When you release what no longer serves you, you make space for what still can. That might mean a quiet corner to paint or write, a clean kitchen that inspires you to cook again, or a tidy living room that finally feels like a sanctuary. You're not giving things up, you're trading them for presence, peace, and possibility. And yes, letting go can be emotional. There will be moments of sadness, of uncertainty, of second-guessing. That's natural. But it's also healing. Each object you part with is a decision made with intention. A conscious act of saying, "I choose today over yesterday." And that kind of clarity builds momentum. It becomes easier with time. The lightness you begin to feel, physically, emotionally, spiritually, isn't imaginary. It's real. It's your environment finally supporting your well-being instead of suffocating it. It's your life finally reflecting your needs, not your storage capacity. If you ever feel resistance, remember this. Letting go is not about erasing your past. It's about honoring it enough to move forward freely. You carry your memories, your lessons, your essence within you, not in a storage bin or a crowded bookshelf. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to evolve. And you are allowed to enjoy this chapter of your life with intention and grace. The best gift you can give yourself at this stage isn't a perfectly curated collection of things, it's space. Space to breathe. Space to move. Space to become who you still want to be. Let your home reflect not just where you've been, but where you're going. Whether that's a simpler life, a safer one, a more peaceful one, or all of the above. The act of letting go is powerful because it says, there is still more ahead. And that belief, that your story is still unfolding, is the most life-giving truth of all.